Bueno, que lo que mi gente? Welcome to my universe. Welcome back to my universe. This is Starlini speaking, pero ya tú sabe, of course. But yes, I want to really quickly talk about being grateful for the very bare minimum. I don't have a quote this time. This is just another one from mi corazón, from my heart, because I have given this subject much thought. And I actually have a Pinterest board that's dedicated to really good conversation starters. I didn't find this one from that board, but I want to introduce this subject as well as other good conversation starters. These are just statements that I believe that you could talk to your friends or your family about, or anybody that you enjoy having these kinds of extensive conversations with, and then, pick the person's brain and see what you guys come up with. And one of the questions that I'd like to start you off with today is, do you have to be grateful for receiving the bare minimum? In other words, should you be grateful to receive the bare minimum? It's a personal question, just like it is a personal choice to accept whatever bare minimum, I guess, somebody may be offering you in your life. So, personally, I would say when I was younger. I mean, I'm still really young, obviously, but when I was a teenager, especially after becoming an emancipated minor, I probably would have answered differently. I probably would have said yes, because I'm a very, very, very grateful person. I've gone through a lot. And I've been alone throughout those processes just because people could not relate to me. But I was grateful for the people who would listen to me, like my social workers or my therapist and the couple of friends that I felt comfortable confiding in. Um, I was grateful for the adults that did help me. I had a teacher like buy me a journal. Like I shared a poem with her, just to give a little bit of context. I shared a poem with her, and then I like started sobbing right after I read the poem. And she just asked me if I was okay, like if something was going on in my life at that moment. She asked me, if I was being touched or if I was touched. And I just like confided in her about all these things. And she was asking me those questions because I addressed those things in the poem that I shared with her. And I think like the very next day or the next week, she gave me a bag, and it had gift cards in it, notebooks, pens, and some other stuff. It was just so sweet. And there was a card that I actually still have to this day. And I really appreciated the gesture because she didn't have to do that, obviously. Obviously, she was compassionate, she was empathetic, and she consoled me in the moment, but she didn't have to go spend her money on me. She didn't have to give me anything. She didn't have to acknowledge my pain. She didn't have to write me a very sweet letter. So I was grateful for that. I've always been grateful for the things that people have chosen to do for me without me ever having to tell them, because of the fact that I know that they don't have to. I learned very early on in my upbringing that nobody is obligated to give a damn about me, not even my parents. Nobody has to show up for me. Nobody has to care about me. Nobody has to come to my rescue. And I've been so grateful for everyone who has. So even when I knew that I deserved better, I accepted less than that, far less than that. Even when I was in situations where I treated myself better than some friends treated me, or than some caregivers treated me, I kept most of my comments and my complaints to myself. I had a habit or a tendency of only talking to people about things once, as they say, shit hit the fan. Once things were spiraling out of my control, that's when I would confide in someone, again, like a therapist or a trusted friend, because at that point, I'm looking for guidance. I'm not sure, where I can find resources to get myself out of the situation, but I will still be grateful. I'm still so grateful. However, going back to the essential question of the hour, do you have to be grateful to accept the bare minimum? Nowadays, I would say absolutely not. If you don't give yourself the bare minimum, you don't have to accept that from other people. I believe in being grateful for what people can offer you, but I don't believe that you have to then tell yourself, oh, you should be grateful to even have that. Don't complain, don't say anything, don't want better, don't have standards. Because usually when people say, oh, you should be grateful to even have this, that's essentially what they're telling you. They're telling you, keep your comments to yourself, keep your complaints to yourself. You are so lucky to have this. You would have less if it wasn't for me. And I've had people say those kinds of things to me. First, they say, oh, you should be grateful. And then as they keep talking, they'll say things like, you would be back in this place if it weren't for me. Nobody, da 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 da. I had a landlord say to me, oh, you've been given an opportunity. Nobody would have rented to you. You should be grateful that you even have this place. Don't mess it up. Don't mess up this opportunity. Talking to me so crazy, right? So that whole you should be grateful thing, as if I'm not a grateful person, is so condescending. And typically I've heard people say that when they're wanting me to accept less than what they would even accept. They wouldn't let their daughter live in this kind of situation. They wouldn't have their daughter or their son or their best friend or their mother in a toxic relationship like the one they're trying to impose onto me. But then they'll say to me, oh, you should just be grateful for the bare minimum, sir. No, I think it makes sense for you to be grateful no matter what, right? But realistically, I think most of the time it's easier to be grateful when you're in a place of need, or when you're in a place or a situation where you can't do that much for yourself. Once you get to a point where you can do more for yourself and you don't depend on people for things, don't let those people you don't even depend on tell you, oh, you should be glad to even get this for me, because you don't need it and you didn't ask for it. And if it's toxic, if it's unhealthy, if it's not even helping you, if their relationship or their presence causes you more stress and anxiety, then screw it. You don't have to accept it. I have been that person who has accepted far less than what she deserves. I've accepted it in relationships, I've accepted it in too many friendships. People will say, oh, you should be grateful. You should be grateful. Okay, but then they'll be two-faced to you. So it's a bunch of, oh, you should be glad that I'm even spending my time. You should be grateful that I even let you into my house. Okay, but you're in your house talking shit about me when you think I can't hear you. You're in your house talking about me when you think I'm not looking. So is that something I should really be grateful for? Okay. I don't think I can find it in my heart to be grateful for people who are dishonest with me. Because if you're dishonest with me all the time in particular, then that means you're not trustworthy. You're delusional because you're lying to yourself about your circumstances and how your circumstances are making you feel. And you don't like that I'm calling you out about it. No matter how respectfully I can do it, there's no nice way to say to someone that they're not treating themselves very well. It's never going to sound good. There's no nice way to say to somebody, you could treat me better and you're choosing not to. So for that reason, I have to separate myself from you. The truth is never going to sound good to somebody who doesn't want to hear it. Your perspective, your opinion isn't going to sound good to somebody who doesn't want to hear it. But the bare minimum, I'm getting tired of accepting that. I'm getting so tired of whatever it is in my energy that attracts people who want to offer me the bare minimum. I don't want to be that person, especially like all my life. Oh my God. I don't want to be that person who has to tell you over and over again how to treat me. Because the difference is that you're not telling me how to treat you. You're not telling me to help you carry your stuff inside your house. Like if we go, let's say we went to the laundromat, or you went to the laundromat and then you picked me up from my place. I'm not going to watch you carry your bags inside. I'm going to grab one too. You don't have to tell me to do those things. I'm a considerate person. Therefore, you should be considerate of me, right? But for some reason, I attract people, or I have attracted people because, my doors are closed. But I've attracted people in my life over and over again over the years. I'm not talking about like something recent. I mean, honestly, like for as long as I can remember, I've attracted people in my personal space who seem to think it's okay to like put me on the back burner in their lives. But then when it's time for them to talk to somebody and run their mouths about however their day was, they want to call my phone and remember that I exist. Maybe somebody's in town, so it's like, hey, like, are you doing anything right now? Yes, I am. It's called avoiding you, because that's so disrespectful. To me, that's an example of somebody offering you or offering me the bare minimum. You know you could do better. You know you could call my phone more often. You know you could check in more often, but you choose not to. And then you have an excuse all the time. Oh, da 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 da. I was doing this. Da 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 da. Like, okay, we'll go back to doing that. That's how I feel. That's how I am. Because one thing about me is I don't have a problem going throughout this world by myself. Because I know that the Spirit has never left me, God has never forsaken me. And I know that I'm not ever going to be alone as long as I have myself. It's called being alone, but not being lonely. I've been in that position several times. I'm grateful for the friends that I do have, but it doesn't mean that sometimes I don't wish people would treat me better. I absolutely do wish people would treat me better. And I know that I can do better. But again, the difference that I've noticed between myself and other people is I have the audacity, I have the ball sack to say to someone, this is what's not satisfying me. I remember I had a friend, we were supposed to do something. I believe I canceled on her or something like that. And then this is back when I had social media in high school. I go on social media a little bit later. I see a post from this person, some passive aggressive post like, I'm so tired of people, da, 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 da. I took a screenshot of the post. I messaged this girl and I said, so I just saw this and I really will hope that it's not about me because I just explained my situation to you and I see that you posted this just minutes later. And this person was like, oh no, like that was about people that I work with. That has nothing to do with you. I'm sorry that you thought. And I'm like, okay, just making sure. Because I'm not going to get on Facebook and talk shit about you to a bunch of people who don't care, okay? I'm not going to talk crap about you to whoever the fuck. I'm going to go directly to you. That's the difference between me and most people. You got to force yourself to do better if you don't want people to do that kind of stuff to you. If you don't want to have those kinds of quote unquote friends in your life who run to everybody else except for you to talk about their problems that they have with you. If your problem is with me, bring it to me. Let's talk about it. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's go. Otherwise, cállate a la verga. Don't say nothing. Shut up. Because you're not doing anything to help the situation when you don't talk directly to the person who can fix the problem. I don't know what's worse, like people who talk to everybody else about the issues they have with you, or the people who don't say nothing at all. But it's cowardly to me. It's passive aggressive to me. And I can't be with people. This is what I've learned about myself. I'm a strong person because I've had to be. I've had to be able to fend for myself. I've had to be able to take care of myself. So I'm a strong person, and I'm learning that I really do not like weak people. I really do not like cowards. I do not like people who just sit there and let stuff happen to them. And I'm learning to conserve my energy as opposed to being willing or more likely to offer myself or extend myself to people, especially those weak, cowardly people, because they will sit right there and let themselves be belittled and degraded by people all around them. And I'm sitting there ready to go to jail for you, essentially. Not literally. I'm not doing that shit. Because if you don't care, I don't care. That's how I am now. If you want to get slapped across your face, bye. Go get slapped across your face. Leave me out of it. I can't watch somebody be broken down and belittled and degraded. But too many people accept that stuff. And hey, if you've told yourself, oh, well, I can take it, I can take even worse than this, you go do that. But leave me out of it. I'm done getting riled up for people who literally keep themselves in toxic situations and then want to call my phone and complain about it. And then the one person in their life, which is me, who doesn't treat them like that, gets put on the back burner. You give me the bare minimum. You'll go extend yourself. You'll go above and beyond for all these people who do not respect you. Respect, okay? But then for some reason, I'm the person who you will let yourself forget about. I'm the person who you will allow yourself to disregard. And I learned a long time ago by reading, I think, this passage. I don't remember what it was called, but I've read it in books. I've read this quote or variations of it. I've learned that people often treat the person they feel the closest to or the safest with the worst. In other words, if I feel comfortable with you, comfortable as in like I can be vulnerable and I can show up as my best sometimes, but I can also show up as my worst, then I'm going to be more likely to let you down and disappoint you in our lifetime, as opposed to the person I don't feel like I'm that close to. Because for some reason, since I don't know how close I am to that person or how much that person values me, I feel the need to prove myself more. And I'm not saying, oh, like the person thinks that, or I'm not saying I do that because I don't think you're going anywhere. It's not a matter of believing that the person isn't going to ever leave. It's just you feel like you can you're comfortable with that person. So you feel like if you hurt them, it's okay because that person will understand or that person will give you another chance. That's where you got me so messed up. I will complain to somebody. I will let somebody know what it is that I'm feeling. And then after a while, I'll just get really quiet. You're not going to know what I'm thinking anymore. You're not going to know how I feel anymore. And then you're not going to hear from me anymore. Because I refuse to let myself be taken advantage of like that. I refuse to let myself be used and told that I just have to accept the bare minimum. There will always be somebody out there who will treat me better than you. First of all, I'm that number one person who would treat myself better than you treat me. So that's definitely what's up. But then second of all, I know that you have to clear the room that people take up in your life out. You have to clear out that space so you can make room for other people who will treat you better. That goes for the boyfriends, the husbands that you're so afraid to lose. Let them motherfuckers go. That's how I feel. Stop holding on to shit. That's what I have had to tell myself. Stop holding on to these people. These people who want to do the bare minimum for you, but you'll watch them turn around and do so much for other people. People who they complain about, the people who they'll complain about to you. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, weren't you just telling me how that person treats you like shit? Oh, okay, but you're going to cancel on me to go to, oh, okay, you're stupid. It makes no sense. It makes no sense how people prioritize other people, but they don't ever prioritize themselves. They don't prioritize the people they should be prioritizing. But I recognize, like, I'm not signing up to be anybody's teacher. I'm not here to play build a friend or build a man. I have to just let those people go. And sometimes it sucks. because I would tell myself to think of all the good things, but I can only do that for so long. I can only remind myself of what I'm grateful for so long. Gratitude is not enough to keep you here in my life front and center when you show me that I am not front and center in your life. I want reciprocity. That's something I'm learning as a 20-year young person. I want reciprocity. I'm done overextending myself, and I don't encourage anybody to allow themselves to be used, taken advantage of, abused, neglected, abandoned, disregarded, and so on and so forth. Do not accept that, because when you don't establish those boundaries and let a person see and know that you can't accept that, you're only hurting yourself. And then you're wasting time. There's somebody right around the corner. I don't mean literally. Watch out for the dude standing on the corner, girl. But there's somebody right around the corner, metaphorically speaking, of course. I was going to say metaphysically. Maybe that too. But there's somebody who's waiting in the wings to come be for you who that other person couldn't be. You just have to trust that. And then don't be eager, to invite somebody new into your space, because if you have not cleansed your energy, you might invite the same exact BS that you didn't want to invite into your life because you just dealt with it. So you got to take your time. You have to reroute. You have to focus on you, but you have to let that toxicity go. I don't believe you have to accept the bare minimum. Be grateful for what you can get out of a person, because at that time, that person may not be able to offer you very much, right? But when you know you can do better, when you see that that person is not trying to do better, that's when it's time to just say, okay, you go be gone. And who knows, maybe we will reroute towards each other later on in life. But, the way I'm thriving and the way that I'm growing, probably not. It's okay. Thank you for what you could do for me. That's how I look at it. Thank you for what you did for me. And good luck on your journey. That's how I feel. And that's where I will leave it for today. On that note, I will say, tata mi amores. Thank you for listening. Take care.